Who are you? Who sent you? 你是谁？谁把你来了？你是谁？谁把你来了？把包不理我，小妹的 flick. What the hell is that?
I think he's speaking French.
French? What kind of Chinese speak French?
Now that Rush Hour 4 is officially happening, thanks to confirmations from both Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan, there are a few things we fans are hoping for. One big wish is to see the return of Isabella. She was in a deleted scene, but we want her back as part of the actual story this time. It would also be cool to see George make a comeback. But the most exciting possibility is an international setting for the fourth movie. So, let's dive into everything we know about this upcoming film. Let's kick things off with the latest buzz around Rush Hour 4, which is keeping our hopes alive for this long-awaited sequel. When Chris Tucker was asked about it back in March 2023, he confirmed that Rush Hour 4 is definitely on his radar, and he's excited to dive back into the franchise. He mentioned he's juggling other projects, but it sounds like he's eager to get back with Jackie Chan, saying, "It's not going to be what you've normally seen. Rush Hour 4, that's something I definitely will probably drop in there because I love working with Jackie." Now, while this isn't a solid confirmation that the film is just around the corner, Tucker's enthusiasm is a good sign for Rush Hour 4. He's been pretty picky about his roles lately, but after his recent critically acclaimed performance in Ben Affleck's Air, it looks like he might be open to stepping back in front of the camera sooner rather than later. As for a release date, well, there's still nothing set in stone. Warner Brothers hasn't officially confirmed anything yet, but there have been some discussions about a sequel. Back in December 2022, Jackie Chan mentioned that there's definitely movement happening behind the scenes, casually saying, "We're talking about Part 4 right now." With these talks just kicking off recently, it seems like we might have to be a little patient before we see a Rush Hour 4 release date pop up. That said, one thing's for sure, if a time traveler from 2007 popped into 2025, they'd find fans still clamoring for Rush Hour 4 to finally hit the big screen. We've been teased about this fourth installment for what feels like ages, and it's been a long wait. With the chatter ramping up since last year about the possibility of Rush Hour 4, we've already started crafting our wish list of what we want to see in this next chapter. I'm sure you have your own expectations too, so let's dive into these 10 points and see if we're all on the same page. First up, more of James Carter's ramblings. Chris Tucker's comedic flair has been a huge draw for the franchise, and his lively take on Carter perfectly balances the action brought by Jackie Chan's Inspector Lee. The humor is what makes Rush Hour so appealing. Carter isn't just about tossing out jokes, it's his non-stop chattering in every situation that makes him downright hilarious. Whether he's taking on bad guys or facing what seems like certain doom, you can bet Carter won't be quiet for a second. We definitely need that same energy in Rush Hour 4. After all, it's all about keeping the laughs coming alongside the action. Another thing we're hoping to see in Rush Hour 4 is some epic synchronized fights. The growth in the relationship between Carter and Lee has really shown in how they fight together. In the first Rush Hour, they were all over the place, barely in sync. By Rush Hour 2, we started to see some improvement, and by the time we hit Rush Hour 3, they were almost hitting that sweet spot. So, Rush Hour 4 should really showcase Carter and Lee working in perfect harmony during their fights, highlighting just how much Carter has leveled up in martial arts. Of course, we can't forget to sprinkle in a good dose of comedy in those fight scenes too. Now, let's talk about the return of Isabella. She was definitely missed in Rush Hour 3, especially since her absence was mentioned a lot due to the fallout from that whole shootout incident where Carter accidentally shot her. There was a deleted scene that had her coming back, but that didn't end up counting. For Rush Hour 4, it'd be great to see Isabella pop up again. Maybe not in the action, but like she did in that deleted scene, making it part of the official story this time. It would be nice for Lee to have a real relationship for once. After all, he's supposed to be as adorable as Snoopy. And we can't forget about George. He was such a fun addition in the previous movies, bringing a mix of humor and naivete that really worked. It'd be a bummer if he didn't return for the next film. It'd be awesome to see George take on the role of an officially appointed spy, kind of like Bo from the Johnny English series. We need more verbal sparring with Carter, along with some hilarious moments showcasing George's lofty spy ambitions. Now, you know what would be even more awesome? An international setting for Rush Hour 4. The best moments in the Rush Hour series have always come when our characters have traveled abroad. Just think about it. Rush Hour 2 had those fantastic scenes in Hong Kong, and Rush Hour 3 took us to France. It's hilarious to see how Carter reacts to different cultures, and his misconceptions always lead to pure comedy gold. Plus, imagine the stunning visuals we could get from exotic locations in this next installment. And, let's be real, a Rush Hour movie wouldn't be complete without more of those hilarious tongue twisters. One of the funniest moments in the entire franchise was when Carter hilariously messed up the Dojo Master's name, leading to that side-splitting me, you, him game. We kind of need that clever comedy in Rush Hour 4 to keep that evergreen charm we loved in Rush Hour 3. If the setting goes international, there's so much potential for Carter to stumble through language barriers with folks from other cultures. Can you imagine the laughs when he gets into a comedic spat with someone from a different country? Maybe we'll even get another tall guy showdown. And speaking of fights, Jackie Chan has been in a lot of serious films lately, which means we haven't seen his trademark choreography where he uses props in creative ways to amp up the action. In the Rush Hour series, Lee has always found inventive ways to win, often using everyday objects as makeshift weapons. For Rush Hour 4, we should see Jackie in a setting where he has tons of options to make those fights. Not just entertaining, but downright imaginative. Watching him turn common household items into weapons of destruction is always a treat. However, what would Rush Hour be without the bromance of Carter and Lee? Their close friendship is what truly sets Rush Hour apart from other buddy cop films. In Rush Hour 4, we need to see even more of those heartwarming moments. The overall theme of the movie shouldn't just be about catching bad guys. It should focus on the brotherly bond between Carter and Lee. While we caught glimpses of this in Rush Hour 3, the next installment should make it the main storyline. Carter already sees Lee as his brother, so maybe it's time to show us how Lee feels the same way. We all want Rush Hour 4 because the previous film didn't feel like a proper wrap-up. This next part should serve as a conclusion to the series, giving us an ending that satisfies fans and doesn't leave us begging for another installment for years. Ideally, it should finish with Lee and Carter signing off from their detective duties for good and retiring somewhere together. Remember when Carter mentioned wanting to settle in Fiji and become bartenders? Honestly, that sounds like the perfect ending for the franchise. And lastly, we can't forget about the gag reel at the end. Oh, how we've missed those over the past decade. Jackie Chan's films always had a gag reel that fans love to watch, and the Rush Hour series has the best ones, thanks to Chris Tucker's hilarious antics. Sure, it might be a challenge for the aging stars to film the fight scenes for Rush Hour 4, but that just means more bloopers for us to enjoy. Plus, we're all hoping for one more classic line from Chris Tucker in the bloopers, like that iconic moment when he quipped, "He ain't going to be in Rush Hour 3. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.